All right, folks, if you could be taking your seats, we'll go ahead and get started with our activities here over lunch. Got some great speakers lined up today. Hope you all enjoyed the morning sessions. Very interesting. Enjoyed the comments from the Mayor of Wheeling. Great comments there. The Wheel of Fortune, that was a lot of fun. Thanks to Casey and the whole crew for doing that for us. Breakout sessions, the one I was in, it was very enjoyable. I hope you all enjoyed what you were doing there. So we're going to get into our some lunch activities here. A couple of things first. I want to again say thank you so much to all of our sponsors and all of our exhibitors. Real quick, if you could, if you're a sponsor or an exhibitor, stand up and give yourself a round of applause. Yeah. We couldn't do this without you. We really appreciate your involvement. All right, we want to thank Triad Engineering. They're our lunch sponsor. Appreciate them and their continued commitment to our Brownfields Conference. And want to take just a moment here to recognize a person here today. Many of you probably don't know her, but we wanted to do something here today. Some of you may know we do a Doug Hilton Memorial Scholarship. Doug was very instrumental down in the town of Ronceverte and in Greenbrier County. Worked for many years there. He brought in more grant money than anybody I know in this state, really from a local level. And really miss him with his sudden passing. But to kind of honor his legacy, we always try to have someone that is fitting, that could come and that kind of represents the things that Doug did. And we have a lady here with us today. Her name is Margaret Hambrick. Most of you don't know her, but let me tell you a little something about her. She is from the community of Alderson, down in Greenbrier County, a lovely little community down there. And she spent a career in the federal government, lived all over the country, lots of different places, retired, and came back to Alderson. And when she came back, she began to work for the town. Now, I'm leaving something out, but I'll get back to it in just a minute. So she now works for the town of Alderson, and she does grant writing for them, and among a few other things. But just a couple examples of things that she's done. A USDA grant for police cars, a service truck, a backhoe, a dump truck, another one here regarding their Main Street program. Excuse me. And if you haven't had the chance to visit the visitor center there in Alderson, she helped get the funding to renovate. It was an old Gulf gas station, if I recall correctly. And it is their visitor center and the best little bakery and little restaurant you could ever find right there, with the fruits of labor and the great work that they're doing there. The historic 1896 C&O train depot, she got $500,000 in, I believe that was Transportation Enhancement Grant funding, to redo the exterior and get it up to date, and a beautiful building there. New roof for the community center, July 4th celebration stuff that she's involved with. Greenbrier County Arts and Recreation funding, and lots of private foundation funding that she's been able to get. I'm leaving a lot of things out here. I just want to get to give you a few highlights of her work. She also works for the Greenbrier Historical Society. She's the secretary there, and she found grant funding for a 1799 barracks log building to get it up for weatherproofing. And then she said her largest project that she's worked on recently is the Blue Sulphur Springs Pavilion, and that was like a $700,000 project there. Now, what I left out is this. Margaret is a volunteer grant writer. She charges nothing. No, you can't have her. The mayor of Alderson made it very clear she's not to go anywhere else. So Margaret, where are you at? If you would stand up. Right there she is in the middle there. Thank you so much. Yeah. If you get the chance, go by and say hi. You'll make a new friend. She's an absolutely delightful lady. We've got some other things going on in Alderson, so we we'll be working with her and the folks there in the coming months. All right. So let's get to, we got a couple fellows here that have a few things to say today, and it's my pleasure now. I'm not going to, I know some stories about him from a brother of mine, but I'm not going to give those today because I don't know how true some of them are, so I'd have to verify those first. So let me make this short and simple. We have today with us our West Virginia DEP Cabinet Secretary, Harold Ward, and I got to tell you, our partnership with our brownfield centers in the DEP, it has evolved and grown over the years. And I mean, we are truly partners day in, day out. I'm always talking with Aaron and Casey and now Jackson and others. And we really appreciate all the hard work they're doing and all the great partnerships that we have. So with that, I'd like to have, if you would, give a warm welcome to Harold Ward, our West Virginia DEP Cabinet Secretary.
Good afternoon, everyone. Appreciate you having me. It's a great pleasure to be here. It's very exciting to see the enthusiasm that's throughout the house at this conference. One thing I'd like to do before I start out, I would appreciate it if everyone from the DEP that works in the Brownsfield program, DLR, Brownsfield, all the way through, if you could just stand up, please. I just want you to know how dedicated these individuals are, how hard they work. To echo some of George's comments about the partnership that we have taking place now. It's really an exciting time to be in my position at DEP, and I thank you all for all the hard work that you do. Other than that, I will stay on script here because I do not want to get in trouble with Casey. So just bear with me for a few minutes. First of all, thank the community leaders, the developers, the environmental professionals, and financial professionals, government representatives, and other stakeholders here today. You are dedicated to environmental and economic improvement of the state of West Virginia, and the governor and I appreciate your collective efforts more than we can say. Your work fulfills the mission of a fully protected and healthful environment where every West Virginian can live, work, prosper, and enjoy a high-quality life with a good paying job. And as the governor likes to say, living and working in paradise is a great opportunity here in West Virginia. You turn your community liabilities into community assets, create jobs and spur economic growth, provide a better quality of life for our citizens. You help our state shine and attract visitors to fuel our growing tourism industries. You truly make a difference. The conference is not only time to learn new skills, but it's also a time to celebrate some of our accomplishments. And this is something that we at DEP are very proud to be a small part of. Since the volunteer remediation program began in '96, over 4,000 acres have been remediated and returned to productive use. We have shopping and manufacturing centers, new community schools and parks throughout the state. We've received $3.4 million in EPA brownfield grants from the program funding to conduct phase 1 and phase 2 environmental impact assessments, lead-based paint inspections, asbestos surveys, and planning activities throughout West Virginia. The results of these activities have led to mixed-use development complexes, rail trails, boutique hotels, and affordable housing units for our citizens. Something that I'm extremely proud of is our recently launched revolving fund, a Brownfield revolving fund. We have provided over $700,000 in loans and grants to communities to help catalyze the development of these properties and see them through to fruition. Our EPA Small Technical Assistance Grant that you heard about earlier today, we work closely with the communities to help them tackle the brownfield problems that they are continuing to identify in their areas and regions. As you know, DEP is not the only entity performing brownfield redevelopment work, and we're just a very small component of it. Because of the work of individuals like you in this room, We've secured over 64 million EPA brownfield program dollars to be invested here in West Virginia. That allows us to do more assets and more remediation and just return more properties to usable properties throughout the state. And we look forward to continuing that. A big call out to our colleagues at Marshall and at WVU and the Region 3 team that we continue, and we look forward to even more exciting opportunities in the future. With that being said, and this is one I'll really try to just read, I'd like to introduce Mr. Adam Ortiz. Adam serves as EPA Mid-Atlantic Region 3 Administrator, where he oversees federal environmental and public health protections for Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and West Virginia, and the District of Columbia. Also includes 7 federally recognized tribes. Working with state partners and local stakeholders, Adam is focused on infrastructure enforcement, climate change, environmental justice, and restoring the Chesapeake Bay. Before coming to EPA, he was director of the Montgomery County, Maryland Department of Environmental Protection, where he launched programs boosting recycle, curbside compost collection, energy-efficient building standards, and watershed restoration projects. In Prince George's County, where he served as the director of director of the Department of Environment, he was responsible for a $100 million public-private venture that actually focused on revitalization and minority business development. He oversaw the construction and operation of the largest composting facility in the state. And before that, he served in the Lieutenant Governor's office at the State Department of Labor, Licensing, and Regulation. As a 3-term mayor, is that correct, Adam? For Edmonston, Maryland, he ended years of chronic flooding through infrastructure improvements spearheaded to the East Coast, and actually the first complete Green Street program. It successfully captured stormwater flows, filtered them out, enhanced utilization for a very diverse community of residents up there. So a lot of acclaim goes. And with that being said, Mr. Adam Ortiz, very good friend and colleague, so please give him a warm welcome.
I was a 3-term mayor of a tiny little town, which was the privilege of a lifetime, but what was better than being the mayor of a small town is being the former mayor of a small town. I'm going to get a tour later of Wheeling with the mayor, and I'm so looking forward to learning a little bit more about what's behind the curtains and what the plans and dreams are for the community here. A lot of them are with the support of folks in this room, because I know and I respect and I totally get that really the solutions come from the people living in the communities. Like, you have the visions, you have the gifts, and this is the royal you, the we, the folks who are on the ground. And when we work together, and our job at EPA is helping dreams come true, help support local visions. When we come together, regardless of whatever industry we come from, when we come together regardless of political party, when we come together regardless of education level or background or race or class, when we come together, great things happen. Great things happen when we come together. And that's why I love coming to this conference. This is why I love working with Secretary Ward and Scott Mandarola and Aaron and Casey and Katie and all the folks who are involved, all the leaders and all the worker bees in brownfields, because this is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. Because we do come together across our different backgrounds and industries and competencies to figure things out. And we do. In a short period of time, we're transforming, in some cases, decades of degradation, sacrifice places that are often forgotten. Sometimes these places were sacrificed a century or more ago. And people are leaning in because they care, because they know it matters. The other thing I love about brownfields is it's like you can see it, you can touch it, that it's real stuff. It's real people, it's real buildings, it's real parks, it's real bike paths, it's real waterfront access, it's real breweries, real mixed-use housing. We got a round of applause for breweries. You know, it's real stuff that transforms the quality of life that we have. So when people come together, you know, great things happen, and they make a difference in the long term for generations to come. So when you're, you know, in your cubicle or driving late at night and the weather's bad and you're tired and you're like, oh man, one more procurement, one more change order, oh, I got to call this person back. You know, keep in mind that you're part of a momentous transformation of sacrificed America into revitalized America, sacrificed West Virginia into revitalized West Virginia, and people, hundreds, thousands of people, for decades, centuries, will appreciate the work that you do, that we do today, this week, this year, long time to come. They may not know our names. Maybe Harold Ward will have a plaque or a highway named after him, or a road or a redevelopment or a brewery named after him, but for many of us, you know, it's a privilege to do this work and to be so transformational. And it's a privilege to be here. I arrived a little bit after midnight last night, driving from Prince George's County, Maryland. And my team was like, man, Adam, you've been on the road a lot, and you've been driving a lot, and you did the Brownfields conference last year. But I was like, no, I'm doing this conference. You know, I'm going to come out and support folks. And I just love the state so dearly. Also, I drove really late at night, so I would avoid all the construction traffic. But I'm glad to be here. And also, I wanted to spend time. You know, it's easy to kind of, you know, hit one thing and then go to the next thing. But I wanted to hang out, I wanted to listen, and I wanted to learn. Because my phrase in this role, and I'm almost in 2 years in this role as regional administrator, is that, you know, EPA needs to be on the field and needs to be in the field. And what I mean by that is, by on the field, that we have a job to do. You know, we have a mission. We have, you know, resources to get out into the communities. We have, you know, laws to make sure that are complied with. You know, we've got important stuff to do. We've got monitoring. We've got science. We got to be on the field doing our job. But we have to be in the field too. We have to be showing up. We have to be listening. We have to be trying to figure out how can we best support the folks who are really, really doing the work on the ground. So I do always try to make sure that there's time to hang out and to listen. And I say I've spent time with a lot of us here in the room, and I look forward to getting to know more of you. I'm going to take a cue from Secretary Ward and also ask my team to stand up. We have good representatives from different divisions. If you could just stand up. You don't have to applaud them necessarily. It'd be awkward if, like, you know, you didn't, but you're welcome to. But we're here as resources to you. I know that you know many of them, and if you don't, just introduce yourself. You know, share a little bit about what you're doing, and we're happy to share in return the work that we're doing and how we're trying to add value. I also want to acknowledge a couple of former members of our team. My predecessor, Cosmos Servideo, is here with his then Chief of Staff, Jen Fields. Great to see the two of them out here. He's, you know, very committed to the work and had a career in environmental protection for the government, wised up and now is in the private sector, yeah, doing great things as well. But it's great to see Cosmo and Jen. And I also want to say, you know, coming to this job, it was a very easy transition. And that's not usually the story that you hear going from the last administration to our current administration across the board. But when I came in, there was an amazing leadership team. People were focused on doing the work. They felt supported. And that's thanks to the work of you and Jen Cosmo. So thank you so much for what you've done. Great to see you. So just a few things that, you know, having a keynote speech under my name is like, okay, well, it has to be interesting. It's not just remarks. It's like, okay, so there's like some substance there, but also it's implied like, don't talk too long. You know, the keynotes are like, oh, is this guy going to talk for an hour? So I'm going to try to strike that balance, or at least fake it till I make it. But I just wanted to share a few things with you in addition to my enthusiasm to being here, is to talk about our role. And I mentioned being in the field and on the field, which is something we take very seriously, especially with this program. But, you know, also to be clear to folks that, you know, EPA's role has really grown and blossomed over time, you know, and particularly in recent years. we started off like, hey, there are rivers on fire. That's bad. We should stop that. There's these lands where nothing can grow. The eagle population, the American icon, our symbol, is on the verge of extinction. So it was like emergency stuff, laws and regulations and enforcement, and that is an important role. And we do carry out the laws of this country, but it's not the only role that we have. And these other roles that we have are equally as important. We are a major funder now. We are a major grant maker. And we were already, before I got this job, when I was studying after Cosmo led, and I was, when I got the job, I was like, oh, I better study up on this position in EPA, coming from local government. It's a big jump. And I read that that Region 3, the Mid-Atlantic region, gives out $400 million in assistance, in grants. Some of them are competitive, some not competitive, 400 million. That is a huge number. But like I said, I've been in this job for almost 2 years now, and that number today is 1.2 billion. 1.2 billion. I'm not responsible for that, but I'm glad you're applauding. But that's a long time in the making. Part of it is pent-up workload. We know that there's a lot to do, and folks of you in brownfields know, like, hey, we're getting to these this year and next year, but gosh, I'd really like to get to those, and the community really wants this, and we really got to do the preliminary, engineering. We really got to do the phase one, all this workload. So some of it is catching up, but I think it's also because people recognize that it's worth it. It's worth it. These are investments that give back over and over again, year after year, generation after generation. So we are a big and a major grant maker, and we're trying to do it as thoughtfully as possible. We're a partner. We're at your side. We're here to help if help is needed. We're here to connect, to provide technical assistance as much as possible. We're a cleaner upper. We're trying to clean up stuff, sometimes in coordination with folks locally, and sometimes we have to do it on our own. But we're cleaning up and trying to restore places. And importantly, we're a cheering section, for all of you. We're a cheering section for locals and states to figure stuff out. That this is tough, long-term work. Like I said, the expectation is to transform things overnight, but a lot of this distress is decades or centuries in the making. And it's hard to see the long view. It's hard to continue to have faith that that building is going to be built, or that trail is going to be completed, or people are going to be able to launch their kayaks or their boats at the waterfront when you're like, under piles of procurement contracts and, behind on your calls and your emails. But we are cheering you on because it matters. Our job in sum at EPA, especially in the Mid-Atlantic region, is to give you a boost. Whatever you need, we are here to give you a boost. So we're showing up, we're listening, we're doing our best to execute the mission, with thoughtfulness and care, and maybe a pint of beer here and there at some of these breweries, and to learn everything that we can so we can be as responsive. And you can learn as much about us, and we're so committed to doing that, especially in this next round. So we're excited about this next round of funding. So $11 million to 8 grantees. 3 of them are new. So a round of applause for this round of grantees, especially our new friends. Now we're continuing to march on, but this is about 25 years of almost $60 million of investment that has leveraged more than $2.5 billion of private investment, which has transformed more than 1,800 acres here in West Virginia, creating more than 5,000 jobs. That's a big deal. And that's something that deserves a round of applause. That's something none of us can do on our own. That's something where all of us have a part. All of us have a part. And we're already beginning to take for granted some of the work that had been done years ago, and that's how it should be. People should show up to a park and not have to know that it was a brownfield or that there was a terrible building there before there was contamination. They should be able to enjoy it, and they are doing that more and more. And it's, and it's so inspiring as I show up to different places and hear the stories and try to add value, but hear the stories about how proud people are of their work. So it's a little bit of everybody that makes the magic happen. And one of the things I love about this conference is that there's so many different types of people in the room. So, raise your hand if you're a government person. All right. Raise your hand if you're a state government person. All right. Raise your hand if you're a local government person. I mean, how awesome is that? Like, here we are, all hanging out, talking together. If you're from private industry, raise your hand. All right. If you're an engineering firm, raise your hand. If you are excavation or allied industries, raise your hand. If you're science, raise your hand. If you're financing and all the money stuff, raise your hand. See, all folks coming from different segmented industries making stuff happen. If you're with a nonprofit organization, raise your hand. All right, if you're with a business development corporation or some type of economic development, raise your hand. Awesome. If you're with an academic institution, raise your hand. All right. If I didn't mention whatever category you belong to, raise your hand. So I do this exercise just to show, like, this is a team of amazing people with different backgrounds and competencies, different resources, intellectual, financial, otherwise, networks, coming together for this transformation. This is magic happening, folks. This doesn't happen every day, not just in all the environmental fields, but in any field. This is a special thing that's happening. So together here we are in the revitalization industry, in the revitalization movement together, making a huge difference. And, and I say that EPA is a revitalization agency. And I say that to the Chamber of Commerce groups, and there's always the arms crossing, the eyes rolling, what is this guy talking about? And I see it, and I call him out, and I'm like, hey, I saw your eye roll back there, at the buffet line, at the dessert line. That's your second trip to the dessert line. Nobody's judging. But I see your eye roll, sir, and I will tell you, I do stand by that. We are a revitalization agency because these lands are forgotten. They are sacrificed. They are toxic. Investors often don't want to touch them. Working with all of you, and it's a revitalization team, working with all of you, we make them ready for investment because these places are in great places, right? They're near the rail line. They're in the middle of town or near town. They're near the highway. They're on the river, on the river. I mean, how amazing is that? They're already there just waiting to be plugged back in and put online and vital again. They're just waiting for us. So yeah, we do show up. We do help local folks clean it up. We do help local folks test the soils. We do help folks have the capacity to put packages together and stack capital and attract investors. We do that, and yes, we are together part of the revitalization movement as a member revitalization agency. And our business is the quality of life of people. Our business is quality of life, frontline stuff, and it matters. So no matter what you do, if you're the engineer, it matters. It doesn't matter if you're a local government or fed or state, it matters. Academic and you're on the team, thank you for your work. It matters. Everything that all of you do matters. It makes a difference. We don't always see it right away, but I promise you, it will make a difference, and it is transformational in time. To many people we may not know, may never meet, may never know our names, but it matters. So I'll wrap up here before I overstay my welcome and before those chocolate chip brownies are gone in the back. But I just want to end where I began, is that it's so exciting to be here. It's so exciting and a privilege for me to be part of your team and to help out in the time that I'm in this role. And when great people come together, great people like us, great things happen. So thank you so much, and I appreciate the time that you spent listening to me here today.
All right. that wraps up our lunchtime program, and appreciate everybody. A couple things here. I forgot to mention the Doug Hilton Scholarship. I want to thank the wonderful folks with Greenbrier Environmental Group for again sponsoring that. We really appreciate that. Next sessions are going to start here at 1:30, and let's give a round of applause for all the folks that are here today. Before we do this, who is here for the first time that you've ever attended a Brownfield conference? Oh my goodness, look at that. And who's been here for 47 conferences? That's me. All right. Well, thank you so much. You all enjoy your afternoon. We're around if you need any assistance with anything, and hope you enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Reception is this evening. Make sure you be back for that too.